Will we seek these things that are contrary to his kingdom? And if you look at the testimony of generations, if you think about David, for example, who wrote, "This is the generation of those who seek the Lord," in his day, the territory over which God reigned grew, didn't it? And when wicked kings arose that forsook the Lord, the territory of the kingdom decreased in their day, right? So when we look at the heritage of Western civilization, where we see this heritage where the kingdom expanded across cultures, across nations, across generations. But if we're honest, in our day, the kingdom is declining. Why? Because people have forsaken the Lord. Now, when you take a look at the testimony of generations, it primarily has to do with leaders and culture, doesn't it? When the kings feared the Lord, they had the ability to influence the culture. That's what happens when you study Western civilization. These preachers, these evangelists, they went to the tribal leaders, to the kings of the area, and converted them. And they, in the fear of the Lord, structured all things according to his law and his truth, lived lives that were worthy of their calling, and pleaded with people to give their hearts to Jesus. And these are the heroes of faith that we read about in Hebrews chapter 11, who earned a testimony of whom the world was not worthy. But I want us to think about something here for a second. It doesn't have to be the leaders in the White House. It doesn't have to be the leaders in Hollywood or on Wall Street. Because there was a generation where Israel had one of the worst kings in history, named Ahab. And his generation is not known primarily about Ahab, because they're in the midst of that time of darkness where people were burning incense to idols all across the land, where they were walking in sin and in darkness and in oppression. God raised up a man named Elijah. And there in that one man who walked with God, who feared the Lord, his whole generation receives another testimony because of one man walked with God. And that's what we need to know here this morning, is that none of us are insignificant. So many people say, "What can I do? What can I do? I'm not the president. I'm not this great leader in the nation." But I tell you what we can do. We have knees and we have access to the throne of heaven where all history is truly made. We have more power to change history and to transform culture because we have access to the throne of grace.